That was 1897.
Log house first, and it
Log
burned.
house
The
first.
very first house in Shannon.
So I'm curious, what you went and you told Maine. How did you and Maine start talking about the Trices?
Well, my first knowledge of the Trices and the Vaughans was between Jack Trice and myself. I never knew anything about it. Nobody ever brought it up to me. But Jack, he knew something about the connection, and I've known Butch Trice better than I've known any of them for years. He never brought it up. But we always had a friendship.
Okay. Now, how did you know Butch Trice and Jack Trice?
Well, Jack Trice is a barbecue man over here, and Butch, he farmed just like all the rest of us did, but he drove a delivery truck for L.P. McCarty.
To help pay.
L.P. McCarty. Butch worked for them, but drove a delivery truck.
Okay.
And I talked to Mr. Shannon this morning, I tell you about, he worked at L.P. McCarty when Butch was working there. He told me Butch is known to be in Arkansas. I never heard that before.
Why was he known?
I don't have no idea now, but he drove a delivery truck and Retha taught school.
Mm-hmm.
And they had money when nobody else didn't have nothing but a milk check. They got the cotton sold in the fall of the year. So Butch was honest. He learned how to count money, and he learned how to manage, and he managed for the rest of them.
Yes, they did.
Best I can tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He'd go up and borrow money to farm agency, where the rest of us did, and furnish the rest of the Trices to farm with.
Really?
Well, he owned land, and he and his wife had an income. So you see what I'm saying? He learned to count money. All right, them delivery drivers, they'd come up short sometime. So he said they want him to help catch them. He said, now, my money's right. He said, y'all need to catch them. And then the man that loaned the money up there, he asked, said, Tommy Lee, do you know what you're doing? He's standing for the debts for the rest of them. He said, yeah. I said, I know they can't do without me, and I can't do without them.
No, what was he delivering?
Well, he was selling groceries. That's where he got his start. But when they all started farming and borrowing money like we all did,
Okay.
the production credit in the land bank, he had a way to borrow money. Nobody else didn't have a way to borrow money. But he had land that he accumulated.
So he would put the land up in
the
exchange
land
to borrow money.
Stand for the debts for all the rest of the Trices that farmed.
For all the Trices?
Well, yeah. But anyhow, Charlie had a big family, and Ed, all Avenue Ed to do was haul milk. Ed Trice.
Yeah.
James Trice was a cousin, I understand.
Yeah.
But I don't know much about him. But Butch was one I knew so well. And when young Walter came down here, I gathered his bean crop down in the bottom. And that's when Walter came down here. So he said, Walter kept calling him and said, Daddy, I want to come down and help you. He said, I asked him like this, said, if you come down here to mess up, said, your daddy's doing all right. He said, he spent the night in the house before we ever saw him. He built his house for him.
Really?
That's what he told me now, and I don't doubt it a bit, but that's the kind of fella that he was. Everybody didn't know how to manage, and everybody wasn't honest. But your honesty, is what does it all.
Point out to me again, because now I can see it. Now, who was this again?
This is my granddaddy, Oscar Fleming Vaughan. He's the second in the family. Uncle Will Vaughan made a preacher and went west preaching the Methodist faith.
Okay.
And then Granddaddy left him here to run and look after the family.
And where's he from? I mean, where was he before
Well,
this?
all I ever knew is that they lived up here now, up here on the hill with all the rest of them. But
Okay.
they own 3 farms. They own the farm we live on, plus a farm out there on the other side of Chihuahua Bottom, plus another farm over yonder before the Depression hit.
Okay.
They lost those 2 farms and came back to the home place where we live. Now, this place is the place we bought. It joins all the Vaughan land up there. We bought this land from the Lauderdales.
You bought the land from the Lauderdales?
Yeah.
White.
The White Lauderdales.
Right, yeah, Bert Lauderdale.
Ah.
George Lauderdale lived right over him.
Yeah, sure
Okay.
did.
All right, and Henry Lauderdale lived up in town. I think Henry, he run a milk truck too.
So, and this is your grandmother.
My grandmother, she was a seal from out of Troy back out in the hills. That was the center of civilization back then.
Top County.
Troy College was a college, like say Ole Miss and Mississippi State, never heard of it at the time. My granddaddy got his higher education out there, so whatever it was.
And this is Mom.
And my mother, yeah.
And what's her name?
Trice Vaughan Hood. Martha Louise is a whole name. And she's a brunette. She had two sisters that were redheaded. And then her first cousin, Mr. Vaughan, Brooks Vaughan up here, both he and his brother were redheaded.
And this is your dad.
My dad, yeah, he's a Hood. They live back up the country, in the hills.
So I am trying to understand now. Did you ever hear of George Trice? Is that right, Stephanie? George, did you ever know or hear of George Trice and Sarah Vaughan? No?
Never did. And all I know is what Jack Trice and I, we exchanged the conversation, and he said, I wouldn't want to offend you, but said you and I could be some kin. So when I said, I asked him like this, if it means anything to you, it means a lot more to me. But like I say, my mother, she didn't gossip and she didn't slander. If anything had been amiss that she knew anything about, I would have never known it. Old people didn't talk to young folks about just everything.
Yeah.
Anything. Because you can read between the lines, you know all that goes on, but at the same time, I was raised around grown people and farming people, and I worked at the cotton gin, and that's where the blacksmith shop was there, and also the section hands went to the railroad. So all the information that you gathered from the working people, I had some of that.
Now you said that's your phone.
I'll take that. His mother did this.